Hey guys, today we are going to start Angular. So what is Angular? Before talking about the Angular, we have to understand the basics. What is website? How they are going to create it? Then what is the need of Angular? So let's go and learn. So what is website and what is web page? Actually, the website is collection of web pages. What is web page? It is a single page contain the informations with a combination of text, images, video and animation and music and voice. So it will explain the content specified layout format. So when we are talking about a web page, there is two type of web pages are there. What is that? It is a static web pages and dynamic web pages. What is mean by static web page? Static web pages contain the same pre-built content. When each time you are refreshing your web page, it will be populate always at the same content. When the developer is designed or developed a page, the same page will be reflected whenever you are refreshing the web page. But dynamic page not like that. It will be generated on fly. That sense, it will pick up the data from the backend system or manipulated in the front end itself. Or it is a manipulated content. It will be displayed in your web page. So the content will be dynamic. It will be live. For example, quick info. So each and every ball, the score is updated in your web pages. So those kind of web pages called dynamic web page. Okay, so how we are going to create a web page and what are the things we have to concentrate? These are the jargons we have to understand when we are going to develop a web pages. So these are the three main elements to develop a web page or website. What is HTML? It's a hypertext markup language to define your web page layout. It is describe the web page structure, how it is looks like and how your information is going to be populated in your page. So CSS. So what is the purpose of CSS? It is used to design or define the style of your pages, how the font will be displayed, what color it should be, and how it is presenting, like in which alignment you have to, and what kind of layout format you have to use, and what are the coloring effects you have to apply. So those kind of things. It is literally, it is like designing and giving a look and feel of your web page. To define a look and feel of your web pages, CSS is come to the pictures to help you to make your website or web pages colorful. Then what's the purpose of JavaScript? JavaScript is used to define the action of your web page. It's like when you are clicking a page, what is the thing it has to do? Like clicking a page, rollover, control, resize. So based on the actions, how your web page has to react for your action, it will make your web page alive always based on your actions. Okay, then what is Angular? So that's the big question, right? So Angular is a JavaScript framework, simple. Nowadays, the developers, they are creating a complex web applications. When they are working with the JavaScript, it is very hard to create a complex applications through the JavaScript. So it is quite difficult to handle and manage the source of the JavaScript. To resolve this issue, they are creating a mini framework like a jQuery. But after that, they are improvised and they are more effectively they provided a more powerful framework called Angular. So Angular is a pure JavaScript framework. It is helping you to create a website or a web pages in a very easy way to develop the web application. So before we are starting to Angular, we have to set up the Angular environment in your system. So what are the things is required for you to develop an Angular application? These are the important things you have to install in your system. The first one, Node.js, and second, Angular CLI, and Microsoft Visual Studio Code. Okay, so what is the purpose of these three? So Node.js is a runtime environment for your JavaScript. To run your JavaScript, definitely you need a browser to execute the JavaScript. But the thing is, Node.js is providing you kind of an environment to run the JavaScript without a browser. After that, CLI. Angular CLI is a command line interface to create Angular applications without pain, because it is providing more features to create Angular applications without pain. And finally, the Microsoft Visual Studio Code. It is an open source IDE. It provides a bunch of features to develop applications. So let's see how to install these three things in your system. First, you have to download two things, Node.js and Visual Studio Code. For Node.js, you have to use nodejs.org website to download Node.js. So there is two options are there. You have to choose the first one, the recommended by the Node.js site itself. It is a stable version. It is not containing much defects. This is the latest versions. They have improvised features also, but the thing is, sometimes some bug will be there in the latest versions. So I preferred go with the stable versions. I already downloaded the Node.js in my system. At the same time, you have to download Visual Studio Code. Now we will install Node.js. So it will open like a wizard. So it's like just next options. There is no much options you have to concentrate to choose it. Just click next and install the Node.js in your system. It takes some time. Almost the installation is going to over. Now Node.js successfully installed in your machine. Click finish. Next, we are going to install the Visual Studio Code. The same thing. So the only one thing is you have to concentrate on this add to path. You have to choose add to path to make the Visual Studio Code available in your all the directories when you're working with the command line prompt. So please ensure whether it is checked. Next, install. Now Visual Studio Code successfully installed in your machine. Uncheck the launch Visual Studio Code as of now. I will open later. Click finish. Now we are going to verify whether the Node.js and Visual Studio Code installed properly in your system. To verify the installation of Node.js and Microsoft Visual Studio Code, you have to open the command prompt in your machine. So to verify the Node.js, you have to type node space --version. It will populate the actual version which is installed in your machine. Now we have to install one more component in your machine, that is Angular CLI. To install that Angular CLI in your machines, you have to use node package manager, that is called npm. That is a tool, it is already there in your Node.js. Now we are going to install the Angular CLI in your machine. So for that you have to type npm, stands for Node Package Manager space. I'm going to install the Angular CLI in my machine. So we have to type install. It has to available in all your directories from your command prompt. So I am typing -g for global. It will be available all your folders. After that, what I'm going to install? So I'm going to install Angular CLI. So at Angular/CLI. So once entered, it is starting to install the Angular CLI in your machine. So it will take some time. We'll wait for that. Now the Angular CLI installed properly in your machine. To verify that whether your Angular CLI installed in your machine or not, you have to type ng space --version. The command will show you what Angular version installed in your machine. Additionally, some other packages also installed with this Angular CLI. Those are all supportive packages for the Angular CLI. So in this list, TypeScript is the very important thing that we are going to see later. We are done with the Angular CLI installations. So before we are going to check the Microsoft Visual Studio Code installation, now we are going to create our first application. So for that, we are going to create a new directory. So for that, I'm going to create a new folder in my desktop itself called session. Now I'm in session directory. Now I'm going to create my new Angular applications. As I told you earlier, Angular CLI is providing a bunch of features to create your Angular application in a very easiest way, and it provides you a lot of features. For Angular applications, we have a plenty of supporting packages and libraries are required. Angular CLI will take care to you to create that. To create a new Angular applications, you have to type ng. I'm going to create a new application. So ng space new. After that, you have to type your application name. We have one more feature is populating, like, do you like to routing the Angular? Okay, so this kind of things we will see later. For these things, for now, you just give y for confirm yes. And then, as I told you, CSS is for doing a style sheet for your web pages. So the Angular CLI is providing you what type of a style sheet you are going to use. So as of now, we are not much concentrate on the style sheet stuff. So please choose the first options. For choosing this, you have to use your keyboard up and down arrows to select the feature. So you have to select a CSS and click enter. After that, it is downloading the required packages from the remote and it will place your specified application directory. Our first Angular applications created successfully. Now we will check our application folder. Hello Dude is created. We'll go to the applications directory cd space hello dude. We are in applications directory. There is a bunch of files and directories are there. So it's a time for evaluating whether our Microsoft Visual Studio Code installed properly in our machines. To validate that, you have to type code space dot enter. It will open your Visual Studio Code application. Now Visual Studio Code is open with our application source code. It is displaying a complete structure of our applications, directories and files which is there in our application folder. We will explain the structure and folder in details later in the next session. Time for test our first Angular applications. Type ng space serve. It will start compiling your applications and displayed in a web browser. Now Angular CLI is compiling your Angular application. It will take some time. We'll wait for that. Now you'll notice that our compilation is completed. You can see now there is a URL called localhost:4200. This is the URL we have to use to open our Angular applications. We will browse this URL in our web browser to see our first Angular application. Open the Chrome browser. I'm going to type localhost:4200. Enter. Congratulations, our first Angular application launched. You can see our Angular application name is populated in the title, Hello Dude. So try in your machine and let me know if you have any problem or if you need any clarifications. Please comment below. We will clarify that. See you on next session. Until then, bye.